Hi readers, welcome to Thoughts on Books and welcome back to my channel. Today my thoughts are going to be on Home is Where the Bodies Are by Jeneva Rose. Now, I've not ever read anything by her, but I was looking forward to this book so much. It was one of my most anticipated releases because look, this cover is awesome. I got a special Barnes & Noble edition that comes with a slipcase. It too is awesome. It looks like a video. So, I was really sad because this is one of the biggest disappointments that I've read. And if you like it, by all means, don't let me rain on your parade. It just was not a fit for me. I'll tell you why, but first, I've noticed when I really love a book, I have a hard time articulating why. And I think it's because a lot of that's about emotion and how the book makes me feel, and sometimes I can't accurately describe that. But when I dislike a book, I can tell you exactly why in detail. So that's where we are now. I'm, again, really sad. I don't like to not like a book. Of course not. I picked up this book wanting to have a great time with it, and I just didn't. So let's talk about why. First of all, this reads very young, and I read a lot of YA novels, and they aren't written young. This reads like something I would have written in my late teens or early 20s. That's not to be ageist or say that people in their teens and 20s can't write at a higher level. S.E. Hinton was, 15 when she wrote The Outsiders? But when I compare this to a book like Monday's Not Coming that's marketed towards young adults, this is just not as good. It reads really, really young. It started out with promise. First of all, the cover's fire, the premise is great, and it gave me, initially, some How to Sell a Haunted House vibes in the tension between the siblings. But, sadly, by the time I got to page 64, I was making a note that, wow, she goes a little too hard on the metaphors sometimes. And I say sometimes, it was all the time. All the time. Here's an example. Nicole stands abruptly. "I don't believe it," she says, pacing the living room. Her footsteps are heavy as the past. I can take a little bit of that. I cannot take a lot of it. And this is... By the time I remarked on it, that had happened over and over and over. And it ends like that too. I'll tell you about it. Okay. You know, I love books that are told from different perspectives. This one was. I thought it'd be great. However, they weren't so different that I always knew who I was reading, even though the chapter was labeled by that person's name. So I'd go into a chapter with Nicole, and I'd get a page or two in, and I'm like, who is this? And that could have been me. Maybe I was overwhelmed by all the metaphors, but, yeah, I'm not sure. The other thing, and I tried to find a better example, but I did not want to reread the entire book. She makes many pronouncements. It's almost like she's mansplaining, only not. She's not a man, so... But it got tiring. I don't read a book for you to tell me something. Like, I read about crying once when I couldn't stop after Dad left. I wanted to know what happens or what the point of it is. What I learned is that no one knows for sure. One theory is that it tells others we're in pain, triggering a human connection. Emotional tears are thicker, fatty sacks of protein. I had to Google that. They fall slowly, clinging to our cheeks, declaring to those around us that we need help, that we cannot cope on our own. And I think that's where I'm at. I've been there for a very long time, yada, 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 yada. That is why we cry. Jesus Christ. And it was more. There was more like this. And equally as bad. I don't want to hear you preach about why we cry. Now I gotta look up and see if tears contain protein, because I'm not sure about that, but what the fuck ever. So it goes on and on like that. And there's no twist. There's no real surprise. The surprise is something that many readers could see from very early on. I even went back and looked at something and thought, no surprise. It just fell really flat. I think, I will not spoil the ending, but I think that there is a way, something I would have liked to have actually been the case, but it just was not. And I'm just really sad about this, because the premise is excellent. Who wouldn't love, well, maybe all of us, to find a video of your parents having killed somebody and then discover that, like, they're major serial killers or something like that? That would have been fantastic, but it is not in this case. It was so bad that I refrained up until the very end from writing or highlighting in the book itself, and that's usually an indicator to me that I may want to get rid of the book. I'll just leave you with this. The snow falls like it has no place to go, drifting aimlessly as though it's trying to float for as long as it possibly can. But it will eventually touch ground. We all do. That's it for me, folks. If you love this book, I'm glad for you. If you are on the fence about reading it, read some other reviews. Don't just take my word for it. It just did not work for me. I will see you on the flip side. Happy reading.